You can now search for the phrase work from home jobs directly on Google to discover remote job openings from across the web.
Give me a Pepsi, please.
Because at Google, we want to make it easier to search for jobs you can do from anywhere.
Still, I need that Pepsi.
Or underinsured, $500,000, 500,000 Americans every year going bankrupt.
You're doing a really good job.
Because of medical bills, 30,000 people dying.
Tell Johan he can come up here if he wants.
5 minutes away from here, John, is a country. It's called Canada. They guarantee health care to every man, woman, and child as a human right. They spend half of what we spend. And by the way, when you end up in a hospital in Canada, you come out with no bill at all. Health care is a human right, not a privilege. I believe that. I will fight for that.
Thank you, Senator Sanders. Congressman Delaney?
Well, I'm right about this. We can create a universal healthcare system to give everyone basic healthcare for free, and I have a proposal to do it. But we don't have to go around and be the party of subtraction and telling half the country who has private health insurance that their health insurance is illegal. My dad, the union electrician, loved the health care he got from the IBEW. He would never want someone to take that away. Half of Medicare beneficiaries now have Medicare Advantage, which is private insurance, or supplemental plans. It's also bad policy. It'll underfund the industry. Many hospitals will close, and it's bad policy.
Senator Sanders, I want to.
Also mentioned
we're going to come to you in 1 second, but let me go to Senator Sanders right now. Senator Sanders?
The fact of the matter is, tens of millions of people lose their health insurance every single year when they change jobs.
I sent them to the
when
store
their
to get
employer
ice for your
changes
mom.
that insurance. If you want stability in the healthcare system,
Ice for your
if you
mom.
want a system which gives you freedom of choice with regard to doctor or hospital, which is a system which will not bankrupt you, the answer is to get rid of the profiteering of the drug companies and the insurance companies, move to Medicare for all.
But now he's talking about a different issue. What I'm talking about is really simple. We should deal with the tragedy of the uninsured and give everyone health care as a right. But why do we got to be the party of taking something away from people?
No one is the party.
That's what they're running on. They're running on telling half the country that your health insurance is illegal.
Can you hear me?
Right in the bill.
Can you hear me, Milan? Miko?
Allow people to have choice. That's the American way.
Look,
Thank you, Congressman. Senator Warren?
so look, let's be clear about this. We are the Democrats. We are not about trying to take away health care from anyone. That's what the Republicans are trying to do. And we should stop using Republican talking points
Okay, good.
in order to talk with
So
each
I'm
other
watching-
about how to best provide that
I'm
health
watching
care.
the debate.
I want to have a chance to tell the story about my friend Addie Barkin. Addie is 35 years old. He has a wife.
This should be interesting.
Cute little boy named Carl. He also has ALS, and it's killing him. Addie has health insurance, good health insurance, and it's not nearly enough.
I'm staying with you. But you exceeded your time, and so let me just stay with you on Medicare for all.
All right.
At the last debate, you said you're, quote, with Bernie on Medicare for all. Now, Senator Sanders has said that people in the middle class will pay more in taxes to help pay for Medicare for all, though that will be offset by the elimination of insurance premiums and other costs. Are you also, quote, with Bernie on Medicare for all when it comes to raising taxes on middle-class Americans to pay for it?
Giant corporations and billionaires are going to pay more. Middle-class families are going to pay less out of pocket for their health care. And I'd like to finish talking about Addie, the guy who has ALS. This isn't funny. This is somebody who has health insurance and he's dying. And every month, he has about $9,000 in medical bills that his insurance company won't cover. His wife, Rachel, is on the phone for hours and hours and hours begging the insurance company, please cover what the doctors say he needs. He talks about what it's like to go online with thousands of other people to beg friends, family, and strangers for money so he can cover his medical expenses. The basic profit model of an insurance company is taking as much money as you can in premiums and pay out as little as possible in health care coverage. That is not working for Americans across this country.
Thank you, Senator.
Medicare for all will fix that, and that's why I'll
Thank you,
fight
Senator.
for
Just
it.
a point of clarification in 15 extra seconds. Would you raise taxes on the middle class to pay for Medicare for all? offset obviously by the elimination of insurance premiums. Yes or no?
Costs will go up for billionaires and go up for corporations. For middle-class families, total costs will go down.
Governor Bullock, I want to bring you in. You do not support Medicare for all. How do you respond?
What's up, y'all?
Healthcare is so personal to all of us. Never forget when my 12-year-old son
We're watching the Democratic debates.
had to be life flighted to Salt Lake City. But because we had good insurance, he's here with me tonight. At the end of the day, I'm not going to support any plan that rips away quality health care from individuals. This is an example of wish list economics. It used to be just Republicans wanted to repeal and replace. Now many Democrats do as well. We can get there with a public option, negotiating drug prices. Indeed.
Thank you, Governor Bullock. I want to bring in Mayor Buttigieg on the topic of whether or not the middle class should pay higher taxes in exchange for guaranteed health care and the elimination of insurance premiums.
Probably, Milan. There's probably a link between being intelligent and being sad.
Whether the public option will be better than, or a Medicare for all environment will be better than the corporate options. We can put it to the test. That's the concept of my Medicare for all who want it proposal. That way, if people like me are right, that the public alternative is going to be not only more comprehensive, but more affordable than any of the corporate options around there. We'll see Americans walk away from the corporate options.
Can I have something to drink?
Medicare option, and it will
Just a
become
second.
Medicare for all. Without us having to kick anybody off.
Just 15 seconds on the clarification. You are willing to raise taxes on middle-class Americans in order to have universal coverage with the disappearance of insurance premiums, yes or no?
I think you can buy into it. That's the idea of Medicare for all who want it. Look, this is a distinction without a difference, whether you're paying the same money in the form of taxes or premiums. Look, in this country, if you have health coverage, if you don't have health coverage, you're paying too much for care. And if you do have health coverage, you're paying too much for care.
I want to bring in Congressman O'Rourke on the topic of whether the middle class should pay higher taxes in exchange for universal coverage and the elimination of insurance premiums. What's your response?
The answer is no. The middle class will not pay more in taxes in order to ensure that every American is guaranteed world-class health care. I think we're being offered a false choice. Some who want to improve the Affordable Care Act at the margins, others who want a Medicare for all program that will force people off of private insurance. I have a better path. Medicare for America. Everyone who's uninsured is enrolled in Medicare tomorrow. Those who are insufficiently insured are enrolled in Medicare.
Just 15 seconds.
And those who have employer-sponsored insurance. Jake, this is important.
Who's offering a false choice here?
You have some. Governor Bullock, who said that we will improve the Affordable Care Act at the margins with a public option. You have others to my right who are talking about taking away people's choice for the private insurance they have, or members of unions. I was listening to D. Taylor in Nevada.
I suspect there are a lot of intelligent people out there who will take pride in thinking they're smarter than others. Speaking of, how do you think tonight's debates will go? The debates are on right now. I don't know how to... Sori knows how to do all the smart stuff with the camera. So I wish I could show the screen as the debate's going, but I can't.
That's the way that we can get there without disrupting the lives of 160 million people who like their employer-sponsored health insurance.
Every estimate that I've seen of expanding ACA, even through a public option, still leaves millions of people uninsured, and also means that people are not guaranteed the health care that they need. As the example that Senator Warren showed us, our plan ensures that everyone is enrolled in Medicare or can keep their employer-sponsored insurance. When we listen to the American people, and this is what they want us to do, they want everyone covered, but they want to be able to maintain choice, and our plan does that.
Thank you, Congressman. I want to bring in Senator Klobuchar. Senator Warren, at the beginning of the night, said that Democrats cannot win the White House with small ideas and spinelessness. In the last debate, she said, the politicians who are not supporting Medicare for all simply lack the will to fight for it. You do not support Medicare for all. Is Senator Warren correct? Do you just not lack the will to fight for it?
That is incorrect. I just have a better way to do this. And in one of my first debates, Jake, I was called a street fighter from the Iron Range by my opponent. And when she said it, I said, thank you. So this is what I think we need to get done. We need the public option. That's what Barack Obama wanted, and it would bring healthcare costs down for everyone. And by the way, I just don't buy this. I've heard some of these candidates say that it's somehow not moral if you...
Thanks, Burr Ryan.
Moral to not have that public option. Well, Senator Sanders was actually on a public option bill last year, and that was Bernie, the Medicaid public option bill that Senator Schatz introduced. Clearly, this is the easiest way to move forward quickly, and I want to get things done. People can't wait. I've got my friend Nicole out there whose son was actually died trying to ration his insulin as a restaurant manager, and he died because he didn't have enough money to pay for it. And Bernie and I have worked on pharmaceutical issues together. We can get less expensive.
I'm going to go to Senator Sanders, then Senator Warren.
I didn't hear the news about Tool. What is it?
Let me clear up one thing. Because people talk about how the insurance, there are millions of people who have insurance, they can't go to the doctor, and when they come out of the hospital, they go bankrupt. All right? What I am talking about, and others up here are talking about, is no deductibles and no co-payments. And Jake, your question is a Republican talking point.
Right now, right now they're talking about Medicare for all.
The healthcare industry will be advertising tonight on this program.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Warren, it's your turn.
Oh, can I leave that, please?
Your time is up.
They
30
will be
seconds.
advertising tonight with that talking point.
Senator Warren.
So we have to think of this in terms of the big frame. What's the problem in Washington? It works great for the wealthy. It works great for those who can hire armies of lobbyists and lawyers. And it keeps working great for the insurance companies and the drug companies.
Well, I'm glad. They just blocked like 3 of our videos that we shot of them like a year ago.
These do not have a God-given right to make $23 billion in profits and suck it out of our healthcare system. They do not have a God-given right to put forms in place that people cannot want to
Thank you, Senator. If we could all just stick to the rules of the time, that would be great. Congressman Blaney.
I'm the only one on the stage who actually has experience in the healthcare business, and with all due respect, I don't think my colleagues understand the business. We have the public option, which is great. The public option is great, but it doesn't go far enough. It doesn't go far enough. I'm proposing universal health care, where everyone gets health care as a basic human right for free, but they have choices. My plan, Better Care, is fully paid for without raising middle-class tax options. So when we think about this debate, there's Medicare for all, which is extreme.
I want to bring in Governor Hickenlooper. Governor Hickenlooper, I'd like to hear what you have to say about Senator Warren's suggestion that those people on the stage who are not in favor of Medicare for all lack the political will to fight for it.
Well, obviously I disagree with that as much as I respect both of the senators to my right. You know, I think it comes down to that question of Americans being used to being able to make choices, to have the right to make a decision. And I think proposing a public option that allows some form of Medicare, that maybe is a combination of Medicare Advantage and Medicare, but people choose it, and if enough people choose it, it expands, the quality improves, the cost comes down, more people choose it. Eventually, in 15 years, you could get there, but it would be an evolution, not a revolution.
Thank you, Congressman. Senator Warren.
You know, we have tried this experiment with the insurance companies. And what they've done is they've sucked billions of dollars out of our healthcare system. And they force people to have to fight to try to get the healthcare coverage that their doctors and nurses say that they need. Why does everybody, why does every doctor, why does every hospital have to fill out so many complicated forms? It's because it gives insurance companies a chance to say no and to push that cost back on the patients.
Thank you, Senator.
That's
I want to bring in Marianne Williamson. Ms. Williamson, how do you respond to the
All right.
criticism from Senator Warren that you're not willing to fight for Medicare for all?
I don't know if Senator Warren said that about me specifically.
We got Leah of the Village in the house.
And what Bernie has said. But I have to say, I'm normally way over there with Bernie and Elizabeth on this one. I hear the others, and I have some concern about that as well. And I do have concern about what the Republicans would say. That's not just a Republican talking point. I do have
Marianne Williamson is very interesting to me. Was she the one that said she was going to fight Trump with love or something like that?
That's our big fight. Then the Republicans will so shut us down on everything.
Mayor Buttigieg.
It is time
What's
to
up,
stop
Leah?
worrying about what
Sarah in the
Republicans
house.
say. Look, if it's true that if we embrace a far left agenda, they're going to say we're a bunch of crazy socialists. If we embrace a conservative agenda, you know what they're going to do? They're going to say we're a bunch of crazy socialists. So let's just stand up for the right policy, go out there and defend it. That's a policy I'm putting forward, not because I think it's the right triangulation between Republicans here and Democrats answer because I think it's the right answer for people like my mother-in-law who is healed, whose life was saved by the ACA, but who is still far too vulnerable to the fact that the insurance industry does not care about
Senator Sanders, your response?
Let's be clear what this debate is about. Nobody can defend the dysfunctionality of the current system. What we are
Who am I pulling for? Tulsi Gabbard.
The fact that over the last 20 years, the drug companies,
Tulsi Gabbard. I'm hitching my carriage to Tulsi Gabbard.
and campaign contributions. That is why when I went to Canada the other day, people paid 1/10 the price.
But they're not even calling. They're not even calling on Tulsi. I haven't even seen Tulsi up yet.
So here we are in Detroit, home of the United Auto Workers. We have all our union friends here tonight. This plan that's being offered by Senator Warren and Senator Sanders.
Yeah, exactly, Brian.
Who gave away
Is
wages in order
this is what I'm looking at? Is they're not even giving her a chance to talk? This is what they did before.
Washington's going to come in and tell them they got a better plan. This is the left and right thing. New and better is this: move Medicare down to 50. Allow people to buy in.
Tulsi's not even there, B. Cherry?
Those 60 million people do that.
Why is Tulsi not there?
30% reduction in their health care costs. Let businesses buy in, Jake.
So, Senator, let's talk about that. If Medicare for All is enacted, there are more than 600,000 union members here in Michigan who would be forced to give up their private health care plans. Now, I understand that it will provide universal coverage, but can you guarantee those union members that the benefits under Medicare for All will be as good as the benefits that their representatives, their union reps, fought hard?
She's on tomorrow, not tonight. Okay. Okay.
Medicare for All is comprehensive. It covers all healthcare needs for senior citizens. It will finally include dental care, hearing aids, and eyeglasses. Second of all, I do know, and I wrote the damn bill. Second of all, many of our union brothers and sisters, nobody more pro-union than me up here, are now paying high deductibles and co-payments. And when we do Medicare for All, instead of having the company putting money into healthcare, they can get decent wage increases, which they're not getting today.
I want to bring in Congressman Ryan to respond to what Senator Sanders just said.
Senator Sanders does not know all of the union contracts in the United States. I'm trying to explain that these union members are losing their jobs. Their wages have been stagnant. The world is crumbling around them. The only thing they have is possibly really good health care. And the Democratic message is going to be, we're going to go...
You still an open border guy? Absolutely. I'm absolutely an open border guy. Matthew Hoyle, what do you think Trump meant when he said he will drain the swamp? Probably something close to what he did with Mr. Cummings yesterday when people said that, when he said that he should investigate Cummings because we've been sending this man billions of dollars and Baltimore is still a cesspool. That would be one example. I'm not a fan of Donald Trump, but the leftist media continues to prop him up as somebody who is a serious candidate. This channel didn't read the Mueller report. What about it, Gory? What did you read in the Mueller report that was different from the Mueller testimony? I don't care if Gusto marched with Dr. King. That was 30, 40, 50 years ago. What's happening right now in Baltimore is that people are living in absolute squalor, and he's been sent billions of dollars, and I don't see how those two work. Yes, Leah, I would like for Bernie to get questioned about his payment policies. That's going to be very, very interesting.
I think it's in section 1200 of their bill. Then many hospitals in this country would close. I've been going around rural America, and I asked rural hospital administrators one question. If all your bills were paid at the Medicare rate...
Okay, right, Gory. He defended his report by saying 150 times, that's outside of my purview. And acting like he didn't know what Fusion GPS was, which is a lie.
And allow them to have choice. I'm starting to think this is not about healthcare. This is an anti-private sector strategy.
We're going to move on to the issue
Whoa.
of immigration
Okay, immigration's coming up, y'all.
On the need for immigration reform, a pathway to citizenship for undocumented immigrants, including dreamers, but there are some areas of disagreement. Mayor Buttigieg, you're in favor of getting rid of the law that makes it a crime to come across the U.S. border illegally. Why won't that just encourage more illegal immigration?
When I'm president, illegally crossing the border will still be illegal. We can argue over the finer points of which parts of this ought to be handled by civil law and which parts ought to be
Here's
handled by
Gory.
criminal law. But we've got a crisis.
Gory, who's disrespecting Dr. King? Who disrespected Dr. King?
And incompetence.
You mean Elijah Cummings?
Humanitarian disaster.
By taking all that money and letting black people live in squalor? You mean him disrespecting Dr. King?
Immigration reform. And frankly, we've been talking about the same framework for my entire adult lifetime. Protections for dreamers, making sure that we have a pathway to citizenship for the undocumented, cleaning up lawful immigration. We know what to do. We know that border security can be part of that package, and we can still be a nation of laws. The problem is we haven't had the will to get it done.
Buttigieg just talked about, just dropped the we're nations of laws line again, which was originally started by Obama, but it looks like Buttigieg is trying to play both sides here.
You did raise your hand in the last debate. You do want to decriminalize crossing the border.
So in my view, if
about 45 minutes.
Then that's suitable for the criminal statute. If not, then it should be handled under civil law. But these show of hands are exactly what is wrong with the way that this race is being covered.
We're not doing that here.
We appreciate that.
Thank you. Congressman O'Rourke, you live near the U.S.-Mexico border in El Paso. You disagree with Mayor Buttigieg on decriminalizing legal border crossings. Please respond.
So,
I do, because in my
Buttigieg says we're a nation of laws, but he wants to decriminalize a crossing, which again, he's playing both sides. Beto O'Rourke disagrees with that, so.
Of deportation, and stopped criminally prosecuting families and children for seeking asylum and refuge, and for-profit detention in this country, and then assist those countries in Central America so that no family ever has to make that 2,000-mile journey, then I expect that people who come here follow our laws, and we reserve the right to criminally prosecute them if they do not.
Congressman. Senator Warren, you say the provision making illegal border crossings a crime is totally unnecessary. Please respond.
So the problem is that right now,
Elizabeth Warren says it's unnecessary.
Is what gives Donald Trump the ability to take children away from their parents,
To prosecute crossing the border.
Lock up people at our borders. We need to continue to have border security, and we can do that. But what we can't do is not live our values. I've been down to the border. I've seen the mothers. I have seen the cages of babies. We must be a country that every day lives our values, and that means we cannot make it a crime when someone comes
Senator.
here.
Just to clarify, would you decriminalize illegal border crossings?
The point is not about criminalization.
Okay,
That
so
has
she
given
said
Donald
yes.
Trump
Elizabeth Warren just said yes. She would decriminalize illegal border crossing.
Senator Hickenlooper, your response.
No, I agree that we need secure borders. There's no
Yikes.
question about that.
I mean, I'm for it, but I don't think that's a very popular perspective.
Back and forth. Secure the borders. Make sure whatever law
What's up, Nathan?
doesn't allow children to be snatched from their parents and put in dated. How hard can that be? We got, I don't know, on the 2 debate nights, we've got 107 years of Washington experience. Somehow it seems like that should be fairly fixable.
Well, and one way to fix it is
Gory, where did you get your opinions on Cummings?
what we're looking for here is
Where did you get your opinions on Cummings? I actually read 3 articles in the midst of the video we watched, and his wife is under investigation for misappropriating charity, and he's received 15 to 18 billion dollars just last year, and his district is an absolute squalor. So tell me what I lied about in regard to Mr. Cummings.
Countries. Then pass the bill, and what the bill will do is it'll greatly reduce the deficit and give us some money for border security and for border help processing the cases, and most of all, it will allow for a path to citizenship.
Was Elizabeth Warren lifting our values when she was claiming to be a Native American? That's a very good point. No way to justify that.
And obey the law. Senator Sanders, you want to provide undocumented immigrants free health care and free college. Why won't this drive even more people?
Nah, pretty sure, Gory, it was billion with a B. Gory Gusto, billion with a B.
Is that what
and you still got rats running around in that area, and dudes are getting killed at a higher clip than in Chicago.
A group of people. And as president, I will end that demonization. If a mother and a child walk thousands of miles on a dangerous path, in my view, they are not criminals. They are people fleeing violence. And I think the main thing that we've got to do, among many others, and Beto made this point, we've got to ask ourselves, why are people walking 2,000 miles to a strange country where they don't know the language? So what we will do the first week we are in the White House is bring the entire hemisphere together to talk about how we rebuild Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador so people do not have to flee their own country.
Okay, that's a good point. Bernie's talking about bringing all the Central American countries together to address the root cause for why people want to immigrate in the first place. That's a good one. That's a good talking point.
I think this is a part of the discussion that shows how often these debates are detached from people's lives.
What's up, Zealand? What's up, brother?
The border right now. If we decriminalize entry, if we get health care to everyone.
Okay, Gory, all you have to do is get me the information. Tell me what I lied about with Mr. Cummings.
Security secretary that said that. The biggest problem right now that we have with immigration is Donald Trump. He's using immigration to not only rip apart families, but rip apart this country. We can actually get to the point where we have both safe borders, where we have a path.
Ron or Gory, both of you, just tell me what I've said that was not factual about Mr. Cummings and his wife. Is it true that she's under IRS investigation for misappropriating charity funds? Is it true that she refuses to, as of June 6th, she refused to turn over the documents to the IRS? Is that true or false? And are you telling me that her husband had no idea what she was doing? And then are you telling me that it makes sense that we're sending billions of dollars to this individual and the city's still crawling with rats and they had more people dead in 2018 from gang gun violence than in Chicago? Am I saying something that's wrong, that's not true? Please correct me.
We need to fix the crisis at the border. And a big part of how we do that is we do not play into Donald Trump's hands. But he wants to stir up the crisis at the border because that's his overall message. If there's anything wrong in your life...
Okay, so Trump is bad. He wants to stir the crisis at the border.
But you are playing in Donald Trump's hands. The challenge isn't that it's a criminal offense to cross the border. The challenge is that Donald Trump is president and using this to rip families apart. A sane immigration system.
Yeah, Steve, how is that different from what she just said, what Elizabeth Warren just said?
Providing health care for everyone. And it's not me saying that. That's Obama's Homeland Security Secretary that said you'll cause further problems at the border, not making it better.
Look, what you're saying is ignore the law. Laws matter. And it matters if we say our law is that we would...
Gory, so I just listed off a list of things and I said which one of them is incorrect. Gory goes, I can't correct you, you're ineducable. Otherwise known as I'm full of shit and I don't know anything that I'm talking about. Thank you for playing. What a mess.
Are Senator Sanders' proposals going to incentivize undocumented immigrants to come into this country illegally?
Yes.
Crossing the border by seeking asylum in the Constitution, right? That's not legal. Correct, Sarcast. It's not. The problem is that the vast majority of the people at the border right now are just standard, you know, folks from Mexico, etc. So that's what's going on. I'm for full disclosure for open borders. But now they're talking about decriminalization. I don't think this is going to go good for Democrats because I'm the only one that I know of. I don't even think Sori's for open borders. I'm the only one that's for open borders. And what these folks are talking about, if you call it decriminalization, that effectively is an open border policy. What's up, Ian? Good to see you, buddy.
Everyone else in America is paying for their health care. I don't think it's a stretch for us to ask undocumented people in the country.
The rat thing is not a lie, Alden. What are you talking about? There's an entire documentary on it. I just watched a video where the mayor was walking all through the city and she was talking about the rats. What are you talking about? It's a whole documentary entitled Rats about Baltimore. What do you mean?
Incredible backlogs that we have right now. But to answer your question, I happen to believe that when I talk about healthcare, it's a human right.
What's up, Kamikaze Killer Lake? I think your name is. I'm 100% for open borders. I call them biblical borders, King Callie.
Everything that we're talking about here tonight is what's wrong with American politics. And the Democratic Party
What's wrong with rats? They're cute.
But also about causes. When we talk
Yes, Yonkers, I'm coming from a... That's 100% true. If I wasn't a Christian, I would not be an open border guy. You're 100% true.
Why so many of our chemical policies and our food policies and our agricultural policies and our environmental policies and even our economic policies are leading to people getting sick to begin with.
Thank you.
That's what the Democratic... But I want to say more
Thank
about...
you, Ms. Williamson.
Okay,
Thank you, Ms.
come back to me this time.
Go ahead. Thank you, Ms. Williamson.
This Williamson lady is really, really interesting. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this.
A park in Brooklyn, on the streets of Philadelphia, and one that left 3 dead and 12 injured at a food festival in Gilroy, California. Mayor Buttigieg, other than offering words of comfort...
Open borders are plain naive. Just throw a ton of personnel to the border, apply 1% of the military I don't think it's that simple, Sarcast.
The worst part of being mayor. Getting the phone call. Consoling, grieving...
You're a terrible example of Christianity. I know that, Gory, but Jesus died for my sins, so I'm not really worried about your opinion, fam.
Because we haven't had a system in Washington capable of delivering what the American people have told us they
Freedom of movement is a right. Very good. I agree.
Republicans want universal background checks, not to mention the common sense solutions like red flag laws that disarm domestic abusers and flag mental health risks, and an end to assault weapons. Things like what I carried overseas in uniform that have...
Okay, now they're talking about gun violence.
In peacetime, let alone anywhere
What will you do to address gun violence? See, this to me is one of those...
Asked me
I don't...
what we were going to do about school safety.
I don't see how the left-wingers have any really robust talking points
We
here.
can talk about these policies, but we already know...
I hate the gun violence in our country. I just don't know how to solve the problem.
We're supposed to be dealing with this so you don't have to. High school is hard enough without having to worry about whether you're going to get shot. And when 90% of Americans want something to happen, and Washington can't deliver, we can't expect...
Thank you, Mayor. Governor Hickenlooper, your response, please.
I disagree with
Please
this
stand by,
diagnosis of
Senator.
the problem.
Please stick to the rules. We'll get to you. We'll come to you in just a minute. Governor Hickenlooper, please respond.
I'm watching this on CNN, by the way.
Sense of government. Another thing, another place where, despite our best...
John Hickenlooper. See, this is what I don't like about this stuff. All of us know that John Hickenlooper isn't going to do a damn thing. Why is he on here? And now the real people who are actual viable candidates have like 15 seconds a question. It doesn't make any sense to me.
We passed as a purple state. We passed universal background checks. We limited magazine capacity. We did the basic work that for whatever reason doesn't seem to be able to get done in Washington. Thank you, Governor. Senator Klobuchar, please respond.
Give the rats the guns.
Where it's not just about words. This is about the NRA. I sat across from the President of the United States after Parkland because I've been a leader on these issues and have the bill to close the boyfriend loophole. And I watched and wrote down when 9 times he said he wanted universal background checks. The next day he goes and meets with the NRA and he folds. As your president, I will not fold. I will make sure that we get universal background checks passed, the assault weapon ban, that we do something about magazines, and that we understand when that little 6-year-old boy died, Stephen Romero, when his dad said he's only 6 years old, all I can say is he's 6 years old. We have to remember that.
This is the exact same conversation.
I don't understand how universal background checks would have stopped the shooting yesterday.
I was part of the first generation that saw routine school shootings. We have now produced the second school shooting generation in this country.
I just don't understand what the Democrats' plan is for stopping active shooter situations.
Solutions that we all know are the right thing to do. They won't prevent every incident, they won't save every life, but we know what to do, and it has not happened.
Thank you, Mayor. Senator Klobuchar, please respond.
Yes. What is broken is a political system that allows the NRA and other large, big money to come in and make things not happen when the majority of people are for. The people are with us now. After Parkland, those students just didn't march. They talked to their dads and their grandpas and the hunters in their families,
Yeah, but
and they said they're not
again,
better.
how is that
They
going to stop an
elected
active
people, not
shooter?
representatives.
You can still get guns on the black market. We've got like 100 million guns in America.
And now that bill is sitting on Mitch McConnell's doorstep because of the money and the
I don't
policy
understand it.
NRA. As president, I will take them
Thank
on.
you,
This
Senator.
is not about systems and words.
Thank you, Senator Klobuchar. Governor Bullock, how can Democrats trust you to be the leader on this fight for gun safety when you only change your position to call for an assault weapons ban?
I hear you, Ron.
I feel like 40% of American households, I'm a gun owner, I hunt. Like far too many people in America, I've been personally impacted by gun violence. I had an 11-year-old nephew, Jeremy, shot and killed on a playground. We need to start looking at this as a public health issue.
300 million registered. I thought it was 300 million, but I wanted to go low.
It is the NRA. And it's not just gun violence. It's when we talk about climate, when we talk about prescription drug costs. Washington, D.C. is captured by dark money, the Koch brothers, and others. That's been the fight of my career. Kicking the Koch brothers out of Montana. Taking the first case.
Yes, it's beyond my purview.
Making it so that elections are about people. That's the way we're actually going to make a change.
Yeah, Gory, that just means that the psycho is not going to buy the gun in a straight up way, but you know, the dudes in Chicago that are killing each other and Baltimore, they're all getting them on the black market.
Your response.
How is that going to stop anything?
We lose nearly 40,000 people in this country to gun violence, a number that no other country comes even close to, that we know what all the solutions are, and yet nothing has changed. It is because in this country, money buys influence, access, and increasingly outcomes. The Centers for Disease Control prevented from actually studying the issue in the first place. As president, we will make sure that we ban political action committee contributions to any member of Congress or any candidate for federal office. We will listen to people, not PACs, people, not corporations, people, not special interests.
Congressman, thank you very much. Senator Sanders.
Yeah, Douglas Dean, what does that have to do with anything?
The Sandy Hook massacre, and I quote here: "If you pass the strongest gun control legislation tomorrow, I don't think it will have a profound effect on the tragedies we have seen." Do you still agree with that statement today?
I think we have got to do our
Right, Scott, they don't bring up the Chicago or the Baltimore style gang violence because none of their solutions would solve that problem.
I come from one of the most rural states in America.
You know, I love the Medicare for all thing. Obviously, you guys know how I am about the border. I'm heartbroken about the gun stuff. I just don't know how their solutions are going to solve that problem.
Is have the guts to finally take on the NRA. You asked me about my record back in 1988, coming from a state that had no gun control. I called for the ban of the sale and distribution of assault weapons. I lost.
Silver Kyrie. The pink market, not the black market. Allahu Akbar.
Universal background checks, do away with the straw man provision, do away with the gun show loophole, and do away with the loopholes that now exist for gun manufacturers who are selling large amounts of weapons into communities that are going to gangs.
Yeah, Metal 420, I really feel like you're right.
We've been having for the last 20 years. Of course we
Fela,
don't get money out of politics.
do me a favor and get the turn off the AC, por favor, and close the door.
Make a difference. End the electoral college, amend the Constitution if necessary to clear up Citizens United. Have DC.
You won't buy a Democrat product. That's all this is. What's a Democrat product?
People look at me funny, as if this country were incapable of structural reform. Does anybody really think we're going to overtake Citizens United without constitutional action? This is a country that once changed its constitution so you couldn't drink, and then change it back because we changed our minds about that. And you're telling me we can't reform our democracy in our time?
Thank you, Mayor.
We have to, or we'll be having
Governor
the same
Bullock, please.
argument 20 years from now.
Please respond, Governor Bullock.
You can make changes. Even in
Buttigieg is okay.
two-thirds Republican legislature.
He seems to be okay. It's just he just seems weak.
Spend money in our elections. I don't care if you call yourself.
I don't know who this guy is. I don't understand. Steve Bullock. Why is he here? He's not an actual contender.
Re-election in 2016.
I don't understand
Even we
it.
stopped the Koch brothers from spending at that time. If we can kick the Koch brothers out of Montana, we can do it in D.C. We can do it everywhere. And we're also taking steps, additional steps that we've taken. I passed an executive order If you're even
Thank
in
you.
a contract with the state,
Governor
you have
Bullock,
to
thank you very
explain.
much. Ms.
I'd like
Williamson,
to
how
have
do you
a
respond to this
transformation.
issue of gun safety?
The issue of gun safety, of course, is that the NRA has us in a chokehold. But so do the pharmaceutical companies, so do the health insurance companies. So do the
You won't accept the DEM plan. You're a hater and anti-American. Oh, all right, Gory.
Until we either pass a constitutional amendment or pass legislation that establishes public funding for federal campaigns. But for politicians, including my fellow candidates,
None of the people up there are idiots,
tens of
Letch.
thousands, and in some cases,
That's like
hundreds
one of my
of
pet
thousands
peeves.
of
If you're on the CNN debate stage, you are not an idiot.
to say we're going to take them on. I don't think the Democratic Party should be surprised that so many Americans believe yada, yada, yada. It is time for us to start over with people who have not taken donations from any of these corporations and can say with real moral authority, that is over. We are going to establish public funding for federal campaigns. That's what we need to stand up to. We need to have a constitutional amendment. We need to have legislation to do it. Until we do it, it's just the
This Williamson lady, they're talking about campaign finance reform. She's saying we need to initiate a constitutional amendment. I agree. Get the money out of politics. Kill the crony capitalism, please. All right, so far we had Elizabeth Warren and we had Bernie and a couple of the other ones basically saying they're for open borders. Because if you decriminalize illegal border crossings, that you've just made open borders. I'm for it. I don't think that that's going to play very well in the general elections, though. So Beto kind of tried to go in the middle, but he stopped short of saying that he's for decriminalization. I don't know what Tulsi's my favorite. Most of the time I hear about Tulsi, she's talking about war and keeping us out of war. So I don't know what Tulsi's perspective is on the border question, but I just think that even though I am for open borders, I think that decriminalizing the borders, saying that at this point, I think is not a good look, because I don't think that most Americans are there, and I think that Trump is going to play that up like mad. So for every picture you have of a kid getting separated from his parent, Trump is going to come up with a bunch of stories of, whatever, Hernandez raping and killing somebody. And so I don't think that's going to play very well. It's like the Dems want to lose. I agree. That's what I was saying yesterday. Like, there's got to be, like, that dude on CNN and all the rest. Like, these people have got to be working for Trump. It would not surprise me if in 20 years from now some shocking report comes out and Trump had all these people in his back pocket the entire time. It wouldn't surprise me, because I literally cannot understand the politically suicidal moves that these guys engage in consistently for the last 2 weeks. I don't get it. Trump's gonna win, like it or not, and I don't. Well, I think I think Trump can be beaten if the Democrats get themselves in order. But as long as they keep reacting to tweets, I mean, the Twitter game is hometown. Is Trump's hometown. It's his home turf. You cannot fight Trump on his home turf. You can't do that. You'll lose. So I agree. It looks bad, but I'm certain that he can be beaten. But he can't be beaten so long as the Democrats continue to do the Twitter thing. It can't be done. Open borders for heaven, abolish hell. Actually, Ivan, at the end of the book of Revelation, the gates are actually open. So anybody who wants to come in can come. That's what it says. So I agree. Open borders. Revelation chapter 21, verse 25. For anybody that wants to know about God's border policy, it's right there. The gates will never be shut by day or by night. There you go. Whoa, you're killing it. You're almost done. You're going to finish today. Good job. I'm so proud of you. Give me a hug.
Live from Detroit, Michigan. In poll after poll, Democratic voters say that they want a candidate who can beat President Trump more than they want a candidate who agrees with them on major issues. Governor Hickenlooper, you ran a Facebook ad that warned, quote,
Inshallah,
socialism is not the answer. The ad also said, quote, don't let extremes give Trump 4 more years. Are you saying that Senator Sanders is too extreme to beat President
Okay,
Trump?
so now they're talking about who can beat Trump. So this is this Hickenlooper guy who I've never heard of before in my life.
Many of them do want to get rid of it, but some don't. Many don't. Or you're going to, the Green New Deal, make sure that every American is guaranteed a government job if they want. That is a disaster at the ballot box.
Isn't the Bible about loving the foreigner? Correct, Sarcast. That's why I'm for open borders.
Donald Trump is failing. You know, the word malpractice, and this is interesting. I always thought it was doctors or lawyers. It's, you know, negligent, improper, illegal professional activity for doctors, lawyers, or public officials. Google it. Check it out. Donald Trump is malpractice personified. We've got to point that out. Why
Donald Trump is malpractice personified. The question is Senator Sanders too extreme to beat Trump? They're asking another presidential candidate if another presidential candidate is too extreme to beat the current president, who's going to be the Republican presidential candidate. Does that make sense to you? Ask him about his policies. But the reason they're asking him that is because everybody knows that Hickenlooper, whatever, we're not going to have a president Hickenlooper.
Well, the truth is that every credible poll that I have seen has me beating Donald Trump, including the battleground states of Michigan, where I won the Democratic primary, Wisconsin, where I won the Democratic primary.
Right, Metal 420.
And the reason we are going to defeat Trump and beat him badly is that he is a fraud and a phony, and we're going to expose him for what he is.
What do the borders need to be protected from? Little Conchita and her little brother? Who did the active shooting yesterday? You know, I talked about active shooters, and not even 7 days went by, and then we had another one yesterday. Who's doing all the crime in America? It's not, I guarantee you, it's not little Conchita and her brother Julio.
Make these radical changes. They're not going to go along. You throw your hands up, but you haven't. Oh, I can do it. But
Uh-oh, it's getting a little chippy between Bernie and Hickenlooper.
We have to pick up all the pieces when suddenly the government's supposed to take over all these responsibilities, and there's no preparation. The details don't work. You can't just spring a plan on the world and expect it to succeed.
Senator Sanders.
Are the boys back yet?
Transform my city. I have some practical.
Can you check?
Second of all, interestingly enough, today is the anniversary of Medicare. 54 years ago, under Lyndon Johnson and the Democratic Congress, they started a new program. After 1 year, 19 million elderly people in it. Please don't tell me that in a 4-year period, we cannot go from 65 down to 55 to 45 to 35. This is not radical. This is what virtually every other country on earth does. We are.
Thank you, Senator. I want to bring in Congressman Ryan. You're from the state of Ohio. It's a state that voted.
What if Conchita's an MS-13 member? Well, we handle Conchita just like we handle any gangster. Put him in jail. Talked about this before.
Snapshot in the polls today.
Biblical borders would be that you treat the foreigner as you would treat the native born. And if the native born is a gangster, we put him in jail. That's how we handle it.
We've talked about decriminalizing the border, and we've talked about giving free health care to undocumented workers when so many Americans are struggling to pay for their
Well,
health
Gory, go create your own channel of educated people.
That we can move forward on. And
it's been about 30 minutes. You still haven't answered any of my questions, family.
Who haven't had a raise.
This is the question. Is Senator Sanders too extreme to beat Trump? This is amazing.
Bernie was talking about some of the battleground states in which we compete.
What a disrespectful question. That assumes that Bernie's going to be a finalist and these other ones aren't, which is actual reality. But if that's the case, if you believe that, then why are all these other fools up in the debate?
No matter how blue or
urban. We did not take food for granted, and we didn't trim our sails either. We had the courage of our convictions, talking about universal health care, comprehensive immigration reform, and confronting the challenge of climate before it is too late. We brought everyone in, and now we have a chance to beat Donald Trump.
Exactly lunchtime. Thank you very much. Very good point. I don't see how you can be a Christian and not be for open borders. I don't understand it. I'm not saying that you're not. I'm just saying I don't see it biblically.
Yeah, it's the only one of the field of 37 that actually won a Trump state. 25 to 30% of my voters voted for Donald Trump. I know that we do have to win back some of those places we lost and get those Trump voters back if we're ever going to win. But this isn't just a choice between the left and the center. It's not a choice just between sort of these wish list economics or thinking that we have to sacrifice our values to actually win. What folks want is a fair shot. The way I won, the way we can win is actually focusing on the economy and democracy aren't working for most people. That's how I win. That's how we can take back the office.
Senator Warren, you make it a point to say that you're a capitalist. Is that your way of convincing voters that you might be a safer choice than Senator Sanders?
Okay, so Senator Warren is calling herself a capitalist.
And I know how to win.
Which is supposed to juxtapose between her and Bernie.
I took on Wall Street and CEOs and their lobbyists and their lawyers.
B. Cherry, I agree. I've been a little bit disillusioned with Bernie myself. I would be good with him as a vice president on a Tulsi Gabbard ticket.
Shoot, I remember when people said Donald Trump couldn't get elected. But here's where we are. I get it.
Brian, B. Ryan, ask again. Ask the question again.
But we can't choose a candidate we don't believe in just because we're too scared to do anything else. And we can't ask other people to vote for a candidate we don't believe in. Democrats win when we figure out.
Wouldn't surprise me, 420.
And we get out there and fight for it. I am not afraid. And for Democrats to win, you can't be afraid.
Leah, you were reckless. After you took all their money, Pocahontas.
That's so bad. Solutions, so bad. Promises. When we run on things that are workable, not fairy tales.
She did, though. She took all those people's money on that false premise. July itself.
This city is turning around because the government and the private sector are working well together. That has to be our model going forward. We need to encourage collaboration
What's up, Tosco?
between the government, the private sector, and the nonprofit sector, and focus on those kitchen table, pocketbook issues that matter to hardworking Americans: building infrastructure, creating jobs, improving their pay,
Thank you, Congressman.
creating universal health care, lowering drug prices.
Senator
We
Warren.
can do it.
You know, I don't understand why anybody goes to all the trouble of running for president of the United States just to talk about what we really can't do and shouldn't fight for.
Whoa. Whoa. She said, why are we in a debate to talk about what we can't do and shouldn't fight for?
Corruption. It is giant corporations that have taken our government and that are holding it by the throat. And we need to have the courage to fight back against that. And until we're ready to do that, it's just more of the same. Well, I'm ready to get in this fight. I'm ready to win this fight.
Go ahead, Sister Minister. Go ahead. She completely woman-splained that guy, and I'm happy because the guy's a waste of time. I don't even know who he is.
To transform the lives. I mean, I started 2 companies and took them public before I was 40. I'm as big of a dreamer and an entrepreneur as anyone. But I also
John
believe
Delaney.
we need to have solutions that are workable. Can you imagine if we tried to start Social Security now, but said private pensions are illegal? That's the equivalent of what Senator Sanders
What's that, metalcore mania?
are proposing with healthcare. That's not a big idea. That's an idea that's dead on arrival. That will never happen. So why don't we actually talk about things, big ideas that we can get done? The
Thank you,
stakes are
Congressman.
too high.
Senator Warren.
So look, he talks.
We'll come to you right after that.
Yes. Hack.
Solutions that are workable.
Delaney's still in, which is completely ridiculous.
Medicare, Medicaid, and private insurance. And what have the private insurance companies done?
No, Ben. Romans 13 could not be marshaled to argue for our current border policy.
Dozens and dozens of forms. Why? Not because they're trying to track your health care. They just want one more excuse to say no. Insurance companies do not
I'll watch
have
it,
the
Tosco.
God-given right to suck money out of our healthcare system.
Thank you,
And
Senator.
2020 is our chance to
Thank you,
stop
Senator
that.
Sanders.
Detroit was mentioned, and I'm delighted Detroit is rebounding. But let us understand Detroit was nearly destroyed because of awful trade policy, which allowed corporations to throw workers in this community out on the street as they move to low-wage countries. To win this election and to defeat Donald Trump, which, by the way, in my view, is not going to be easy, we need to have a campaign.
I'm glad
of
Bernie said
energy
that. He said
and
beating Trump
excitement
won't be
and
easy.
of
Thank you.
vision. We
Thank
need
you.
to bring
Take him
millions of
seriously.
young people into the
You
political
Democrats
process
keep sleeping on him and calling him stupid.
by, among
That's
other
why he's
things,
kicking your ass right now. Thank you, Bernie. Take it seriously.
tuition-free and canceling student
Thank
debt.
you, Senator.
Canceling student debt. Yes. Hey, let's go.
I want to bring in Senator Klobuchar. At the beginning of the night, you said you're going to hear a lot of promises.
Oh, I'm with
on
you.
stage.
Protect the migrants
Obviously, you
and
said, when asked
the
about
borders.
your
That
primary
distinction.
promise,
Very
well,
important,
a
Brian.
lot
Good
of people
point.
are making promises, and I'm not going to make promises just to get elected. Who on this stage is making promises just to get elected?
Everyone wants to get elected, but my point is this. I think when we have a guy in the White House that has now told over 10,000 lies, that we better be very straight.
Amy Klobuchar said that Trump has
And no,
told
do
over
I think
10,000
that
lies.
we are going to end up voting for a plan that kicks half of America off of their current insurance.
Who
in
are you
4 years?
referring to
No,
when
I
you
don't
say
think we're gonna
candidates are
do
making
that. I think
promises
there
just
is
to
a
get
better
elected?
Way to get what we all want to see, which is lower costs for healthcare. Do I think that we're going to vote to give free college to the wealthiest kids? No, I don't think we're going to do that. So that's what I'm talking about. But what I don't like about this argument,
I hear you,
right
XBM.
now, what I don't like about it at all is that we are more worried about winning an argument than winning an election. And I think how we win an election is to bring everyone with us. And yes, I am one in a state every single time statewide. I have won those.
Gory, that's
congressional
outside my
districts where
purview.
Donald Trump won by over 20 points. He just targeted Minnesota last week. And I've done it by getting out there and talking to people, by knowing rural issues and
Thank you,
farm
Senator
issues,
Klobuchar.
and bringing Metro people with me in the state
Thank
that
you,
had
Senator
the
Klobuchar.
highest voter turnout
Thank
in the
you, Senator.
country.
I want to bring
That's what we
Congressman
want.
O'Rourke. Congressman O'Rourke.
I cannot believe Tulsi's not in this debate, but John Hickenlooper is.
The American people
How is this possible?
Delivering on our commitments. As a member of Congress, when I learned that the El Paso VA had the worst wait times for mental health care in the country, meaning that care delayed functionally became care denied and was related to the suicide epidemic, we made it our priority and we turned around the VA in El Paso. We took that lesson nationally. And I worked with Republicans.
No, I didn't see the outside my purview meme yet.
And we got it signed into law.
Okay, there are two debates. Okay, that would also explain why Kamala Harris isn't there. Okay, I need to calm down. That makes sense.
Any other concern.
Thank you, Congressman O'Rourke. We've been
But
asking
still,
voters to weigh in on
I just
what
think
they'd
it's a waste of
most
time
like
for
to
these
hear Democrats debate. Among the
no
topics
names
they
to
told
be
us
in the
they're most
discussion.
interested in the climate crisis. Congressman Delaney, I'll start with you. You say the Green New Deal is about as realistic as Trump saying Mexico was going to pay for the wall. But scientists say we need essentially to eliminate
Cory
fossil
Booker.
fuel.
Yeah, it's like it's the segregated one. It's this is the white one, and then tomorrow's going to be the one with all the people of color.
Climate crisis realistic.
Well, first of all, because it ties its progress to other things that are completely unrelated to climate, like universal health care, guaranteed government jobs, and universal basic income.
This thing is so blurry. I don't know why it's so blurry.
My plan, which gets us to net zero by 2050, which we absolutely have to do for our kids and our grandkids, will get us there. I put a price on carbon, take all the money, give it back to the American people in a dividend. That was introduced by me on a bipartisan basis. It's the only significant bipartisan climate bill in the Congress. I'm going to increase the Department of Energy research budget by
Gory Gusto
fivefold.
just wants some
Fundamentally,
attention. Gory, I'm giving you some attention, bruh.
I'm gonna create
You
a
keep
market
jumping
for
from
something
topic to
called
topic.
fair
How come your man didn't talk about fusion GPS? How come he didn't talk about Misfit?
I don't think we'll get to net zero by 2050 unless we have those things.
You're a mess,
I'm gonna
man.
Increase investment in renewables, and I'm going to create something called the Climate Corps. That is a plan that's realistic. It's a bet on the U.S. private innovation.
Why do you believe the Green New Deal is not realistic? That's the next discussion.
Thank you.
For our kids.
Thank you, Congressman. Senator Warren, you're a co-sponsor of the Green New Deal. Your response to Congressman Delaney.
So, climate crisis is the existential crisis for our world. It puts every living thing on this planet at risk. I have a plan for a green industrial policy that takes advantage of the fact that we do what we do best, and that is innovate and create. So I've proposed putting $2 trillion in so we do the research, We then say
$2
anyone
trillion?
can use it so long as you build it right here in America. That will produce
$2 trillion just for research? Oh, we're talking about the planet now. I'm not a fan of that, man. I would spend $2 trillion on a guaranteed solution, but I don't want to spend $2 trillion on just research.
Spends trying to market around the world. China's spending $100.
Thank you, Senator Warren. Governor Hickenlooper, you take issue with the Green New Deal. Please respond.
Well, I think the guarantee for a public job for everyone who wants one is a classic part of the problem. It's a distraction. I share the urgency of everyone up here. We have to recognize, I mean, everyone's got good ideas. What we do in this country is no better than just a best.
Rubio hired them first. Then your friend Hillary Rodham Clinton hired them, and she took intel from Russian assets, none of which was mentioned in your Mueller report. How come, Gory? Because when they asked Mueller, he wouldn't respond, so maybe you know.
We need every country working together if we're going to really deal with climate change in a realistic way.
Thank you. Senator Warren, your response.
Look, I put a real policy on the table to create 1.2 million new jobs in
What's up, Kyle?
manufacturing. There's going to be a $23 trillion worldwide market for this. This could revitalize huge cities across this country.
There's a 23 trillion, I guess there's $23 trillion on the table for green industries that we could be jumping on.
We don't really have to do anything. That's the problem we've got in Washington right now. It continues to be a Washington that works great for oil companies, just not for people worried about
Thank you, Senator Warren.
change.
Congressman Ryan, we are here in Michigan, where there are about 180,000 workers in auto manufacturing. Your state of Ohio has around 96,000 workers in that industry. Senator Sanders.
Strange how Hillary didn't use the Steele dossier during the campaign. That's because he made it up after.
Given the number of auto manufacturing workers in your
That's
state,
why.
how concerned are you about Senator Sanders' plan?
Hillary already showed us, Matthew, what she did. She released Obama's pictures when he looked like a Muslim to stoke everybody's racist, xenophobic fears about Muslim people. Hillary did that to Obama. I'm supposed to believe she wouldn't do that to Trump if she didn't have the opportunity? Are you trying to act like Hillary Clinton is some paragon of virtue? Stop it.
I want us to dominate the
She released a picture of Obama, and then she said, oh, it wasn't meant to be negative.
Solar panels, same thing. China dominates 60% of the solar panel.
You finished the whole
market.
book?
So this person
Good
will
job.
in the White House.
What an accomplishment.
And we're going to start making things again.
Who is this guy? Do you know who this guy is?
Talk about agriculture. We need to convert our industrial agriculture.
He's not going to be your president. Take a good look at him. You'll probably never see him again in your life.
regenerative-
Yeah, he's going for president, this guy.
Actually sequesters carbon.
Yeah,
into
the square
soil.
face. He
And
wants to
you
be
can go
president.
ask
He looks like he's on roadblocks or something. Give me a hug.
and Alan Williams, who actually make money off of regenerative agriculture. So we can move away from all the subsidies that we're giving the farmers. They haven't made a profit in 5 years. And we can start getting good food into our schools, and into our communities.
And
that's going to drive
definitely
healthcare
a new
down. That's another part of that
Matthew,
conversation.
the Steele dossier was completely made up out of whole cloth. She didn't have access to it, and she was too smart to release something that stupid and have it backfire on her. God almighty.
Of big ideas.
What's up?
Republicans are not afraid of big ideas. They could give $1 trillion in tax breaks to billionaires and profitable corporations. They could bail out the crooks on Wall Street. So please don't.
No, Matthew, it doesn't change it. I'm trying to tell you that she didn't have access to the Steele dossier because it was just made up out of whole cloth. You're missing the point. That's my point. And the other point is, Mueller didn't investigate Fusion GPS or anybody related that would have implicated Hillary Clinton. That's not right. That destroys his credibility as far as anybody who's objectively trying to get at the truth about how the Russians interfered with our elections, Matt. Good Lord. Am I supposed to ignore that? We're supposed to ignore that he didn't look at everything? That he only went after Trump's people, and then he had 2 lawyers that were saying "Vive la résistance" on his team? We're just supposed to ignore that like that didn't exist?
So we better get busy now, and that's why I'm saying, get a chief manufacturing officer, align the environmental incentives
ridiculous.
with the financial incentives. and make sure that
You know
people
what's
can actually
ridiculous?
make money
That
off of
Well-
that
the new
person tried
technologies
to
that are moving forward.
be
And then here's
president.
what
Senator Sanders, your response.
Look, on this issue, my friends, there is no choice. We have got to be super aggressive if we love our children and if we want to leave them a planet that is healthy and is habitable. So I don't
Go hang out
disagree
with
with
your
Tim.
sister.
What that
Go hang
means
out with
is
your
we gotta A, take on the fossil fuel
And tell
industry.
Johan and Dorian to come in.
B, it means we have to transform our energy system away from
Make some
fossil
strangers.
fuel to energy
Can somebody
efficiency
else?
and sustainable energy.
Yeah.
And a hell of a lot of good union jobs as we do that. We gotta transform our
Andrew.
transportation
Andrew.
Thank you, Senator.
system, and we have to lead the world.
Thank you, Senator
that this is not
Sanders.
just
Andrew.
an American issue.
Governor Bullock, your response.
I don't want you in the camera.
You know, all
Get
of
out.
us agree that we have to address climate change. No one on the stage is talking about, though, the Republicans won't even acknowledge that climate change is real, Dana. And that's because the problem. We got to make sure to aid in those transitions as we get to a carbon neutral world, which I think we can do by 20.
Thank you, Governor. Just to clarify, who is
watching right now? Yeah, just
Who
yeah,
is-
just watch that.
I think Democrats often, when they're saying, "Oh, these fossil fuel
The
industries, these
police.
workers, those coal miner workers," look, the world's changing. We got to make it change. But I think Democrats
Okay,
often say,
they're getting
like
in
the
this
people
stalemate
in
about the
Congress say, "Shall
what do you
they?"
call it?
That they're part of the problem.
The
And far too many
I can't
communities are
think.
being left behind
The,
as we make this transition.
you.
Look, we're having this
Climate
discussion,
change stuff.
and we can talk about competing
Thank you,
plans.
Governor. I want to get
I'm gonna go ahead and say any of these people I could eeny meeny miny mo, and they're gonna have a way better, more thought out, way more robust climate change solution than Trump. So this is a non-issue to me because they're automatically going to be better than Trump on the climate change issue. And if you say that's a biased response, it's absolutely biased response. I have a biased perspective on Trump as far as the environment goes, and right wingers as a whole. So I don't really care about this particular part of it because anything that they do has got to be better than anything that Trump would do.
Thank you, Senator.
And look,
Governor Bullock, your response.
and look, Bernie, I was a union side labor lawyer. I fought day after day. And I know, but we set this up as a false choice far too often.
Looks like your room doesn't have borders.
Address climate change. Fire seasons are 80 days longer in the West now. Or are we going to give people a better shot at a better life? You can
Nah,
be bold.
I'm not going to give Mueller any credit.
Scientists
The
try
fact that
this.
he didn't investigate Fusion GPS and all the rest of those guys and let Mifsud lie to them 3 separate times and didn't do anything, and he had multiple lawyers on there that were obviously and explicitly anti-Trump. No, I don't respect Mueller at all. It was a completely partisan report, and it was done sloppily, and it was a waste of taxpayer time and money.
And those that I listened to in Flint last week, they want the challenge. They want those jobs. They want to create the future for this country and the world. Those community college students that I met in Tucumcari, New Mexico, understand that wind and solar jobs are the fastest growing jobs in the country. And those farmers in Iowa say, pay me for the environmental services of planting cover crops and keeping more land.
Global warming is a myth.
Conservation easements.
Okay,
That's
this
how
is
we
the
make
reason
change.
why
We
I'm
need
with the
everyone
Democrats on pretty much anything that they do, because it's got to be better than the Republicans.
We have all put out highly similar visions on climate. It is all theoretical. We will deal with climate if and only if we win the presidency, if and only if we beat Donald Trump. Nominate me, and you get to see the President of the United States stand next to an American war veteran and explain why he chose to pretend to be disabled when it was his chance to serve. Nominate me, and we will have a different conversation with American voters about why the President of the United States thinks you're a sucker when the problem in your life is your paycheck is not going up
Whoa.
nearly as fast as the cost of housing,
Buttigieg just said that Trump thinks you're a
the cost of
sucker.
prescription drugs, and he has done nothing about it except a tax cuts for the corporations.
Senator Klobuchar, I want to ask you about something that CNN heard from a Michigan Democratic primary voter. We've been reaching out and getting their questions. Kimber from Birmingham, Michigan. Has
Mueller should do what I want. He's a public servant. I don't live in a fiefdom. I live in a democratic republic. All these people are here to work for me and for you.
And they are still drinking.
They're beholden to us, not vice versa. His job was to spend my money and your money, do research, and get us the actual facts about Russian interference. And Fusion GPS interacted way more with the Democrats than they did with Trump, and he didn't investigate it. And I would like to know why. And he wouldn't respond. Yeah, that's a problem. And if you don't admit it's a problem, then you're just showing that you're completely partisan and you don't have an ability to think objectively at all. What will you do to make sure another Flint water crisis doesn't happen again? Yeah, I'd like to know, considering it happened under Barack Hussein Obama's watch. I'd like to know.
By doing something when it comes to that regressive tax bill that left everyone behind, but really made his Mar-a-Lago friends richer, as he promised. And I would take that money and put it into rural broadband and green infrastructure, so you won't have what you just saw in Detroit with the Jefferson Chalmers neighborhood, the African neighborhood that was African-American neighborhood that was most hit when you had those recent rainstorms. And I truly believe that if we're going to move on infrastructure and climate change, you need a voice from the heartland.
Thank you, Senator Klobuchar. Ms. Williamson, what's your response on the Flint water crisis?
My response on the Flint water crisis is that Flint is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, Mueller's job was to get at Trump, nothing else. I agree. That's exactly what he was there for. That was obvious after the Mueller testimony, for sure.
Communities, particularly communities of color and disadvantaged communities all over this country, who are suffering from environmental injustice. I assure you, I lived in Grosse Pointe. What happened in Flint would not have happened in Grosse Pointe. This is part of the dark underbelly of American society. The racism, the bigotry.
Whoa! Williamson called out the racism. Very good.
Is going to deal with this dark psychic force of the collectivized hatred that this president is bringing up in this country.
Wow.
I'm afraid that the Democrats are
The
going to
dark
listen very
psychic
carefully.
force
We need to
of
say it like it is.
collectivized
It's bigger than
hatred.
Flint. It's all over
Whoo!
this country. It's particular people.
Whoo!
Particularly people who
I like that. I usually say dark intelligence, Zonia. She said the dark psychic force. Whoo! I like this lady. She's. There's no way in the world she's going to be president. But I'd love to have a fireside conversation with her for sure. Uh-oh, here we go. Race in America, y'all.
Trump is pursuing a re-election strategy based in part on racial division. How do you convince primary voters that you'd be the best nominee to take on President Trump and heal the racial divide in America?
We'll call his racism out for what it is.
Oh,
and
God,
also
no.
talk about its consequences.
We'll call out
Does it
Trump's
just
racism.
offend our sensibilities to hear him say, send her back about a member of Congress because
This is a
she's
mistake.
a woman of color, because
No, it's not because she's a woman of color, Beto.
Doesn't
Stop
just
it.
offend our
You're
sensibilities
falling
to
into his
call
trap.
immigrants, rapists, and criminals, or seeks to ban all Muslims from the shores of a country that's comprised of people from the world over.
I'm watching Beto O'Rourke now talk about how racist Trump is. This is a trap. This is not good.
Crimes are on the rise, every single one of the last 3 years. On the day that he signed his executive order attempting to ban Muslim travel, the mosque
Salam
in
alaikum, Ian.
Texas was burned to the ground. So we must not only
Right,
stand up
right,
against
Yonkers.
Donald
Beto
Trump
couldn't
and
beat
defeat
Cruz, but
him
he's supposedly
in
going to
this
beat
next
Trump,
election,
who
we
kicked the
must
crap
also
out of
ensure that
Cruz.
We don't just tolerate or respect our differences, but we embrace them. That's what we've learned in El Paso, Texas, my hometown, one of the safest cities in the United States of America, not despite, but because it's a city of immigrants and asylum seekers and refugees. We will show that our diversity is our strength in my administration.
Congressman O'Rourke, thank you very much. Governor Hickenlooper, why are you the best nominee to heal the racial divide in America? Please respond.
Yeah. Come on, Governor
Behind this
Hickenlooper.
entire country's history is working towards a more perfect union, that all people are.
What trap?
equal.
Talking about
All
Trump's
with
racism
that.
is a trap, in my
I
opinion.
think the job is incumbent on any one of us to make the convincing case.
I think
that
it's
we
going to
can
backfire because he
deliver,
didn't do anything
an
explicitly
urban
racist in any of his
that
tweets
represents
recently.
progress in
And so
schools,
he's going to
the
use that to
Colorado
tell white folks,
Military,
look
got
guys,
the
everything we do is
universal
racist, right? And they're going to go, yeah, that's
we can
true.
make
This
the
is
police
this is
reform
this is a waste
10
of
years
time and it's
before Ferguson.
counterproductive.
Why is it now the 5 years
I don't need a white politician. I mean, and nobody's thinking through the ramifications of this discussion. You're asking a white politician what they're going to do to heal the racial divide. You're one person. What the hell are you going to do? You're one person.
Director Christopher Wray said that the majority of
Ridiculous.
terrorism cases this year have been motivated by white supremacy. In fact, the alleged shooter in this weekend's attack in Gilroy, California, referenced a well-known white supremacist book on social media. How are you going to combat the rise of white supremacy?
We need to call out white supremacy for what it is.
How are you going to
Domestic
combat?
terrorism.
Are you going to combat white supremacy? We got to call it for what it is: domestic terrorism.
We live in a country now where the president.
What does she
is
mean by that?
advancing environmental racism, economic
Environmental
racism,
racism.
justice racism, healthcare racism.
Healthcare
The
racism.
way we do better is to
That's
fight
all
back
Trump's
and
fault.
Show something better. So I have a plan, for example, on education that says we have to build a better education system.
Biden was racist. Pelosi was racist. Clinton was racist. Exactly. The whole lot of them. They're all racist.
Has universal tuition-free college,
Including you, claiming to be a Native American.
and levels the playing field by putting $50 billion into historically black colleges and universities.
Okay, so $50 billion for HCBUs.
Student loan debt for
That is going to heal racism in America, y'all.
loan debt and
Giving us $50 billion for HCBUs is gonna decrease racism. As if white supremacists couldn't use that as an example of why the white man is being held down.
Housing policy. Given your record,
Doesn't make
how can
sense to
you
me.
convince African Americans that you should be the Democratic nominee?
As an urban mayor serving a diverse community, the racial divide lives within me. I'm not saying that I became mayor and racism or crime or poverty.
My stream is infested with villagers.
Come together repeatedly to tackle challenges like the fact
You damn racist, Zonia.
people were not getting the help they needed in the community, so we directed it
It's outside my purview.
Underinvested African American neighborhood. Right now, in the wake of a police-involved shooting, our community is moving from hurting to healing by making sure that
Our community is moving from hurting to healing. Buttigieg got worked about 5 weeks ago by a bunch of black ladies outside. They went after him because that cop shooting thingamajig. Get out of here, bruh. This is such a terrible question. None of these people are going to solve the racial divide in America.
Systemic racism
Good
has touched
Lord.
every part of American life, from housing to health to home ownership. If you walk into an emergency room and you are black, your reports of pain will be taken less seriously. If you apply for a job and you are black,
If you walk into a hospital and you're black, your reports of pain are taken less seriously. That's BS. I walked into a hospital with a toothache. They tried to give me narcotics. I had to tell them no multiple times. And I live in Maine. You know what happened? I had my poor white friend that was there as well, and they treated her like garbage because she didn't have insurance and she was dirty and she was smelly. They treated her like absolute garbage. But me, I got treated like a king because I presented somebody who's got money. I don't know what Buttigieg is talking about right here.
But I don't think anyone can justify what this president is doing. Little kids literally woke up this weekend, turned on the TV,
Your Grace.
and saw their president calling their city, the town of Baltimore, nothing more than a home for raps.
No.
And I can tell you, as
The-
your
the
president,
focus.
that will stop.
That's a lie. He didn't say it's nothing more than a home for rats.
Economic opportunity means economic opportunity.
You
for
silly
everyone in
liberals.
this country. I know that because
Leave
I
it,
have
leave it,
lived
leave it.
it.
That's good.
And that
That's good.
means when we put out there
No, that's
better
perfect.
child
Thank you.
care and better education,
Someone?
and we pay teachers more,
go.
and we make sure there's a decent retirement system in place, yes, we help the African American community, and we must, because they have been the ones that have been most hurt by what we've seen in the last decade. But we help everyone. So what I say to the people in my rural parts of my state,
I agree, Ron.
like I
They
said,
are. They're the
in
biggest drug
city
dealers in
and
the
doing it
world.
Together is that
Look, what do the Trump voters
opportunity
who
must
prioritize
be
the
there
economy
for
over the
everyone.
president's
Thank you
bigotry?
very much. Congressman O'Rourke, please respond.
I want to acknowledge something that we're all
See,
touching on.
this assumes that the president is a bigot. It's a stupid question.
The greatest country on the face of the planet.
Leftists don't
was literally
understand
on the
the
backs of
perception
those
of
who were
other people.
kidnapped
It's
and brought
unbelievable.
here by force. The legacy of slavery and segregation and Jim Crow and suppression is alive and well in every aspect of the economy and in the country. Today, as president, I will sign into law a new Voting Rights Act. I will focus on education, address healthcare disparities, but I will also sign into law Sheila Jackson Lee's reparations bill.
Matthew, what does that have? See, this is what kills me. So now we want to talk about Trump's son-in-law having 800 units over there in Baltimore. He is not an elected official that was given billions of dollars by the U.S. government to fix the problem. This is why Trump is going to win. I don't care what a slumlord does. What I care about is who's the elected official, how much money is he getting, and what is he doing to solve the problem. But instead of recognizing that Cummings has some serious issues that need to be investigated, you want to say, well, what about Trump's son? Trump's son is not an elected official in Baltimore. Cummings is an elected official in Baltimore. Good Lord.
All that a country is a collection of people.
Why are you qualified to determine how much is owed in reparations for slavery? Woo! Reparations. Let me hear this.
In America, it does come from a great injustice that has never been dealt with.
That's true. The injustice has never been dealt with. I agree, but
250 years of slavery followed by another 100 years of domestic terrorism. What makes me qualified to say 200 to 500 billion dollars? I'll tell you what makes me qualified. If you did the math of the 40 acres and a mule, given that there was 4 to 5 million slaves at the end of the Civil War, there were 4 to 5, and they were all promised 40 acres and a mule for every family of 4. If you did the math today, it would be trillions of dollars.
Talk to me.
I believe that anything less than $100 billion is
40 acres and a mule, $100 billion. Give me my money. I'm for it. You're never going to get elected, though. But I'm for it.
An injustice that continues to form a toxicity underneath the surface, an emotional turbulence that only reparations.
Thank you very much. Senator Sanders. Senator Sanders, you don't think cash payments are the best way to address this issue, but according to a new Gallup poll, 73% of African Americans are in favor of cash payments to Black Americans.
Yup, give me my money.
Of slaves. How do you respond to that?
Give me my money.
I respond to that by saying that I am supportive of Jim Clyburn's legislation, which is called 10-20-30. And what that understands is that as a result of slavery...
What do you say to the 73% of African Americans who are in favor of reparations?
Now, in healthcare, in education, in financial...
See, Bernie's not going to be able to answer this question straight up because he's going to have a hard time in the general answering that question.
In terms of education, I also have a plan.
We did pay the Native Americans, Sarcast. To this day, we still pay them. What are you talking about?
The growth of segregated schools in America. It would triple funding for Title I schools. It would make sure that teachers in this country earned at least $60,000 a year.
Senator Sanders, thank you very much.
So Sanders just dodged the reparations question, and it's very brilliant for him to do that. It's very brilliant for him to do that because there's no way that a country that's has a majority population of white people, there's no way that's ever going to be a popular talking point. So Sanders, if he wants to get elected, is not going to directly say anything about reparations. Stop it. I love it when white people today are blamed for what some white people did forever ago. Yeah, Nathan, I love it when white people every 4th of July celebrate something that they had nothing to do with. Oh, wait a minute. You celebrate the 4th of July because you realize the things that your fathers did hundreds of years ago affect you still today. Okay. Good Lord. What do I think of the first 10? Elizabeth Warren is strong. I feel like Elizabeth Warren is the strongest one there. A lot of times Democrats will try to act tough. You know, Hillary used to do this thing. But I feel like she's legitimately tough. Definitely unfortunate that she had the misstep with the Native American thing. I thought it was a bad play. But I feel like Elizabeth Warren right now is kicking ass in the discussion. If Warren gets nominated, I'm blasting Run to the Hills by Iron Maiden. Astaghfirullah. This is so bad. I'm probably going to get banned from YouTube. How would you answer that question about reparations? I would say we need to do the math and we need to get those people their money. That's what I'd say. No, I think Elizabeth Warren speaks with a lot of conviction, and I'm convinced that Elizabeth Warren believes what she says she believes. Guilty of being white by minor threat. I gotta check that out. Bernie said on reparations he was for Jim Clyburn's plan called the 10-20-30 plan. I have no idea what's in it. Neither do I. Trump versus Warren. Trump would wipe the floor with Warren. Trump would continue with the Pocahontas stuff, and he would bring out the stats from the her DNA stuff, and she wouldn't be able to get over it. I think Trump would destroy her. I think a Tulsi Bernie ticket with Andrew Yang as some sort of finance whatever is a dream team that would be unstoppable, and I'd vote for it in a heartbeat, and we'd be able to actually do something in this country, I think. Death Fan, don't worry about it. It's not going to happen, so it's not something you need to worry about. It's never going to happen. Death Fan, all them woke white leftists that keep telling me I'm terrible for not calling Trump a racist for the Ilhan and the Cummings tweets. All those supposed woke white folks, they don't want any parts of parting with their hard-earned money any more than you do. So that's why you and I get along a lot better than me and woke white liberals, because you're honest. But don't worry about it. It's not something that's going to happen. So don't worry about it. I thought it was a funny question because I knew Bernie wasn't going to answer it straight up because he couldn't.
Turn now to the economy.
What if Trump said he was an idiot?
U.S. steel industry, but hurt auto manufacturers like those here in Michigan, which could drive up the cost of cars. As president, would you continue President Trump's steel tariffs?
Look, I think President Trump was on to something when he talked about China. China has been abusing the economic system.
Okay, so Tim Ryan just admitted that Trump is right about China. And he is, by the way. But it's very refreshing to see a leftist who can be honest so that we can have some sort of credibility when you're going up against Trump.
Or to China for them to build their military. So I think we need some targeted response against China. But you know how you beat China? You outcompete them. And that's why I put a chief
No, Sarcast, you're worth everything.
to make sure that we rebuild.
That's why God sent Jesus to the cross. Close the door.
That in Detroit and Youngstown that used
No,
to make
Andrew,
cars
get
of
out.
steel, we've got to fill them with workers who are making electric vehicles,
You can come, Andrew.
batteries, charging stations, make sure they're making solar panels. As I said earlier, China dominates 60% of the solar panel market. They dominate 50 to 60% of the electric vehicle market. We're going to make 10 million electric vehicles somewhere in the world in the next 10 years. I want them made in the United States. That's why I have a chief manufacturing officer that will sit in the White House and help drive this agenda.
Thank you. Just as a point of clarification, as president, would you continue President Trump's steel tariffs? Yes or no?
Well, I would have to reevaluate. I think some of them
Ah.
are effective, but he's bungled the whole thing. Obviously, see, here's the problem with President Trump.
No, he didn't bungle the whole thing. What are you talking about?
He has a tactical move. What's the grand strategy for the United States? China has a 100-year plan, a 50-year plan, a 30-year plan, a 20-year plan. We live in a 24-hour news cycle. That spells disaster for our economy and disaster for our global politics.
Thank you, Congressman. Congressman Delaney, your response.
So listen, this is what I don't understand. President Trump wants to build physical walls and beats up on immigrants. Most of the folks running for president want to build economic walls to free trade and beat up on President Obama. I'm the only one running for president who actually supports the Trans-Pacific Partnership. President Obama was right about that. We should be getting back in that.
Obama was right about TPP?
A trade plan that would prevent the United States from trading with its allies. we can't go and we can't isolate ourselves from the world.
See, this guy right here, he stood up two publicly traded businesses. So he likes TPP.
We have had a trade policy that has been written by giant multinational corporations to help giant multinational corporations. They have no loyalty to America. They have no patriotism. If they can save a nickel by moving a job to Mexico, they'll do it in a heartbeat. If they can continue a polluting plant by moving it to Vietnam, they'll do it in a heartbeat. I have put out a new comprehensive plan that says we're not going to do it that way.
Metalcore, it's got to be Sanders and Tulsi.
Unions at the table, with small businesses at the table, with small farmers at the table.
That's Elizabeth Warren talking right now.
Human rights activists at the table. And then we're going to use the fact that everybody in the world wants to get to America's markets. They want to sell to you.
Congressman Delaney.
Is everyone wants to get to America's markets? No. So the question is,
Senator, thank you. Please abide by the rules.
The guy's like, Senator, please abide by the rules. She's like, no, I'm going for it. I don't need to listen to you.
President Obama was right. He did include environmental standards.
I'm sure you would. You got two businesses. Of course you like TPP.
Different position with China if we had entered the Trans-Pacific Partnership. We can't isolate ourselves from the world. We can't isolate ourselves from Asia. Senator Warren's plan basically that she put out.
I'd be the VP.
We would not be able to trade with the EU.
Okay, fair, Donald. It was a lie. It wasn't a mistake. Okay, I'll give you that.
Thank you, Congressman. Senator Warren. Senator Sanders, please let Senator Warren respond.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Bernie apologizes.
is describing as extreme is having deals that are negotiated by American workers for American workers.
Thanks, Surf. I will definitely check it out.
Jobs, and we can build the trade deals that do it. People want access to our markets all around the
No
world.
one is mentioning Iran gaining momentum after Trump pulling out of the deal and North Korea resuming missile testing. Even today, U.S. do tweets, handshakes, but no deals. Okay, that's fair. That's fair, lunchtime. You're right. Why do they not cut people's mic off after their time? That's a good point.
Working for the people here in the United States,
Senator,
and we can
thank you very much.
change that.
Congressman O'Rourke, your response.
The question was about tariffs.
Warren is dominating this debate as far as just like raw time.
Tax increase on the American consumer hitting the middle class and the working poor.
That's a good question. Has there ever been a Republican president and a Democrat VP on a ticket? That would be so badass if you could do that.
When have we ever gone to war, including a trade war, without allies and friends and partners? As president, we will hold China accountable, but we will bring our allies and friends like the European Union to bear, and we'll also negotiate trade deals that favor farmers and American workers. And
Tulsi Bernie would be a defeat for Dems? How so, Donald? I feel like that's a no-doubter.
Thank you very much, Senator Sanders. Please respond to Congressman O'Rourke.
You're looking, I believe, at the only member of Congress who not only voted against these disastrous trade agreements, NAFTA, PNTR with China, which cost us over 4 million jobs, but also helped lead the effort against these agreements. Now, Elizabeth is absolutely right. If anybody here thinks that corporate America gives one damn about the average American worker, you're mistaken. If they can save 5 cents by going to China, Mexico, or Vietnam, or any place else, that's exactly what they would do. As president, let me tell you what I will do. These guys line up at the federal trough. They want military contracts. They want all kinds of contracts. Well, under my administration, you ain't gonna get those contracts.
Johan 2030.
Thank you very much, Governor Hickenlooper.
It'd be Dorian 2030. Johan's like 11. Aren't you 11? Yeah. He can't run in 2030.
At trade that is therapeutic. The bottom line is, you talk to any economist, there is not a single example in history.
You're not going to be the president, John Hickenlooper. I am not going to have a president named Hickenlooper. That's not going to happen. You're going to have to change your name, family.
25% of our total debt. And step back and look at, here's Trump gives a giant tax cut. And at the same time, so we're paying in tariffs about $800 to $1,200 per household. And then we give this incredible tax cut to the rich. essentially what's happening is now he's transferred that tax obligation onto the middle class. That's what's outrageous, but tariffs are not the solution.
Governor, thank you. Senator Warren.
Anyone who thinks that these trade deals are mostly about
Pepsi makes you age faster. Johan will be able to run.
Look at the new NAFTA 2.0. What's the central feature? It's to help pharmaceutical companies get longer periods of exclusivity so they can charge Canadians, Americans, and Mexicans more money and make
That's right.
more profits.
Good call, Kyle.
That's what trade deals have become. They have become a way for giant multinationals to change the regulatory environment so they can suck more profits out for themselves and to leave the American people behind. We have to have the courage to fight back against that.
Senator, thank you. Governor Bullock, your response?
Good point, Donald.
Rippey said to me, every time
Steve Bullock.
that Trump tweets, we lose hundreds of thousands of dollars. If Montana had to eat all the wheat that we produce, every Montanan would have to eat 40 loaves of bread.
Johan is still more mature than Trump.
What we have is, I actually agree with Senator Warren on this in part. Corporations can move capital easy. Workers can't. So going forward, we need to make sure that our trade deals actually are protecting, thinking about the workers. They can't be the stepchild.
Yeah, Gory, we got it.
Do it with this blunt instrument of tariffs that the president's doing.
Yeah, Matthew, I really do not like having these no-name candidates in who stand zero chance whatsoever of winning.
Mayor, stand by, please. Stand by.
You got 10 folks up there, the majority of which are going to be gone in 2 months.
The latest auto plant to cease operations in the industrial Midwest. This comes as part of the company's modernization plans, which will eventually result in 6,000 hourly workers losing their jobs or being reassigned to other plants. What is your plan for retraining workers?
Ever read Johan's tweets? Completely racist.
This happened in my community 20 years before I was born, and when I was growing up, we were still picking up the pieces. Empty factories.
No, I'm not a fan of Obama. He did nothing for black people.
Exactly
Nothing.
What happens to a community when these closures take place.
And those 26,000 drone authorizations, and how terrible he was to our Mexican neighbors. So much so that he was called the deporter in chief. That's your guy. But I'm sure you're just as pissed at Obama for deporting all those people as you are at Trump, right? Because you're consistent. And you're you don't care about what political party the person's in. All you care about is the issues, right? Isn't that true?
Because a gig is a job and a worker is a worker.
Thank you, Mayor.
A gig is a job and a worker is a worker.
In addition to
what does that mean?
Tech, in addition to supporting workers by doubling unionization, as I propose to do, some of this is low tech too. Like the minimum wage is just too low, and so-called conservative Christian senators right now in the Senate are blocking a bill to raise the minimum wage when Scripture says that whoever oppresses the poor taunts their maker.
Mayor, thank you.
Whoa! Buttigieg just quoted the scripture, whoever oppresses the poor taunts their maker. Go ahead, brother minister.
That would make you subject to Senator Warren's proposed wealth tax on the assets of the richest 75,000 households or so in the United States. Do you think Senator Warren's wealth tax is a fair way to fund child care and education?
I think wealthy Americans have to pay more. Listen, I grew up in a blue-collar family.
Later, Ron.
Became a successful entrepreneur, created thousands of jobs, supported thousands of entrepreneurs all around this country, and I've done well financially. I think I should pay more in tax. I think wealthy Americans should pay more in tax. But we have to have a real solution. The real solution is to raise the capital gains rates. There is no reason.
Okay, so his solution is to raise capital gains.
Should pay less than people who work for a living. That's ridiculous. It's the biggest loophole in our tax code. We act like wealthy individuals are endangered species, and if we raise their taxes, they won't invest. That's crazy.
There you go, Perkinos.
Revenues from wealthy individuals. We roll back the Trump tax cuts to wealthy individuals. I think the wealth tax will be fought in court forever. It's arguably unconstitutional, and the countries that have had it have largely abandoned it because it's impossible to implement. But here again, real solutions, not impossible promises.
Thank you.
Raise the capital gains tax, roll back the taxes on wealthy Americans.
Thank you,
that we can do in our first few
Senator
months
Warren,
as president.
please respond.
So I have proposed a wealth tax. It's now time to do that. It's time.
Medicare for all, Shane. And I am for student debt forgiveness.
$50 million you can keep
After 7 years.
But your 50 millionth and first dollar, you got to pitch in 2 cents. 2 cents. What can America do with 2 cents? We can provide universal child care for every baby in this country aged 0 to 5. We can provide universal pre-K for every 3-year-old and 4-year-old. We can raise the wages of every child care worker and preschool teacher in this country. We can provide universal tuition-free college. We can expand Pell. We can put $50 billion into our historically black colleges and universities, and we can cancel student loan debt for 95% of the people who have it and start to close the wealth gap in America. It tells you how badly broken this economy is.
Senator,
that
thank you very
2
much.
cents from the wealthiest in
Thank
this
you, Senator.
country would let us invest in the rest of America.
Congressman, please.
This is
Wow.
not about whether wealthy.
Good
This
job.
is not about whether wealthy Americans should pay more.
2 cents on the dollar for the billionaires.
Question if you have a real solution to make it happen. We can raise the capital gains rate to match the ordinary income. You know, the last president to do that was actually Ronald Reagan. We can do that in our first year. I've called for that to be done, and it'll double the earned income tax credit. I've called for the expansion of universal pre-K so that every American has pre-K. And
The kid is here to make me civil in the chat. Yes.
But we don't need to come up with new taxes that are arguably
Thank you,
unconstitutional.
Congressman Delaney.
Will be fought in
Thank
court
you,
over
Congressman. I
years.
want to turn to the issue of student debt.
No, they're talking about Warren's wealth tax a fair way. They're talking about capital gains taxing.
6 figures of student loan debt. Under Senator Sanders' proposal to cancel all
Right,
student loan
Sarcast.
debt,
That's a very good point.
be wiped away. Why wouldn't you support that?
That'd be great for us. And then the next day, there would be a student loan program, and people would be out taking student loans, wondering why they weren't lucky enough in time to get theirs wiped away completely too. We can have debt-free college for low and middle-income students by expanding Pell Grants and compelling states to pick up more of the burden. And
Who would Johan vote for? Would you vote for Trump or would you vote for Tulsi, Bernie, Buttigieg? Who would you vote for?
which is an excellent program that is
Elizabeth, but I want to hear from more from the other girl.
Tulsi?
The dark, yeah.
Tulsi. Okay, so he likes Elizabeth Warren so far, but he wants to hear more from Tulsi. Tulsi's tomorrow. You want to hang out tomorrow too?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't want to do this until.
So he's right now Warren's a front runner for him, but he wants to see Tulsi's performance tomorrow.
They were held accountable for whether they delivered the results. President Trump, under a Secretary of Education, who regrettably is from this state, did away with those rules. There's no accountability. On my watch, those colleges that turned...
Good, Ron. I don't want you to serve a fake DD either.
That's where we would begin when it came to getting rid of loans.
Thank you, Mayor. Buttigieg, Senator Sanders, you want to forgive all student loan debt? Your response?
I do. But before I get into that,
what's student loan debt?
the major issue...
You have to pay a lot of money to go to college.
Oh, college?
Yeah.
Is the massive level of income and wealth inequality in America. You got 3 people who own...
I think, yeah, we're going to do another live viewing tomorrow. Inshallah, Sori will be here, so she's really sick right now, but yeah, we're doing that.
...of all new income goes to the top 1%. Companies like Amazon and billionaires out there do not pay 1 nickel in federal income tax. And we got 500,000 people sleeping out on the street. What we need is a political revolution that tells these billionaires in corporate America that they are Americans, they'll participate in our society, but they have got to start paying their fair share of tax.
Not mine, Kyrie.
What income tax?
What do you think of Bernie? You don't like Bernie?
No.
You don't like Bernie? Wow. Listen to this lady. This lady's really interesting. This is William.
This is.
I think that all domestic and international policy should be based on the idea that anything we do to help people thrive is a stimulation to our economy. That's how you stimulate your economy. So if a few people take advantage, but there are 4 or 5 people who are going to take the money that they then have in the bank. When you look at this,
Should the government pay for children from wealthier families to go to college? Of course not.
We swap it. We had a $2 trillion tax cut where 83 cents of every dollar goes to the very, very richest among us. That does not stimulate the economy. If we get rid of this college debt, think of all the young people who will have the discretionary spending.
Yes, I heard that earlier in the chat, Dirk.
Stimulate the U.S. economy is to get rid of this debt.
What do you have against Bernie Sanders? Why don't you like Bernie?
Actually,
Huh?
Is Bernie a good guy?
Bernie. Why don't you like Bernie?
I don't know. I honestly don't. What's I think
Hungry Hippo.
Yes, Hungry Hippo. No.
Thank you, Ms. Williams.
Was that Bernie?
You don't support free four-year college. Your response to Ms. Williams.
Hold on, I want to see this.
Free 2-year college, earn that associate's degree, realize your full potential, debt-free 4-year college. But unlike some of the other candidates on the stage, that's not just for tuition. That is room and books and board, the full cost of being able to better yourself so that you can better this country. And then for that school teacher, who in many places like Texas is working a second or a third job, full forgiveness for her outstanding student loan debt, forgiveness for that person willing to work at the VA and serve our former service members.
Ben, you're the worst.
Make it easier to join an apprenticeship, to learn a skill or a trade that you can command for the rest of your life.
I could destroy your kid in a political debate. Mulligan your kid. Get a new one. We don't need people dumber than me voting.
I can't even vote.
It's okay. I'm not gonna get a new kid.
No, I know. No, you are. You're just not gonna replace me.
Right, I'm not. You're irreplaceable, inshallah. Okay.
I'm very concerned if we do things like that.
I guys knew what I was talking about.
Pass on to the next generation and the next generation. So what I would do about student loan debt is that I would allow people to refinance it at a better rate, and I would make sure that we improve those student loan repayment programs for our teachers and expand them so that you literally over 5-10 years can get it paid for if you go into occupations where we don't have enough workers. I think we need to mesh what we were just talking about with the economy with our education policy.
Thank you, Senator. I want to turn to foreign policy now. Senator Sanders,
Foreign policy.
argued that the United States cannot continue to be the, quote, policeman of the world. You said the exact same thing on a debate stage in 2000.
Johan could beat you in Madden, I agree.
We're hearing the same message from you and President Trump on the issue of military intervention.
I relate too much to my
How should they expect that
receivers.
you will be any different from them?
Trump is a pathological liar. I tell the truth.
Trump is a pathological liar. I tell the truth. Bernie's going at it.
In Afghanistan, I think 18 years. In Iraq, 16 or 17 years. We have spent $5 trillion on the war on terror, and there are probably...
Johan, what's your opinion on abolishing the police? Like completely getting rid of the police.
That's the stupidest move we can make.
He's not an anarchist. Johan is not an anarchist.
Look, I mean, we need the police. I mean, obviously the
Saying
police.
to the camera.
Obviously, the police killing black people, that's a problem. And getting rewarded for it, that's also a problem. But if you say no police, there's gonna be a lot more murders, and without the police, would the FBI still be around?
No.
Oh yeah. Then no way we figure out who. No. I mean, what's gonna get the people in jail?
Thank you, Senator. Governor Hickman,
How are people gonna get caught?
How do you respond to Senator Sanders' vision for America's role in the world?
Well, we share the recognition of the incredible cost. People don't realize that half the soldiers that fought in Iraq and Afghanistan were National Guard. So I went and sent them off in their deployments. Big, noise.
Should the U.S. be the policeman of the world?
With their families when they didn't come back. We are able now to call it constant engagement.
Like determine what's good and bad, or help them people get in
Because if we're
jail.
going to deal with climate change and cybersecurity and nuclear proliferation, we've got to be talking to everybody. And tariff wars don't work. They're for losers.
Thank you, Governor.
Tariff wars are for losers. Get out of here, Hicken Poop, whatever your name is. This guy looks like a bad guy from X-Men, the cartoon.
Congressman, you said that you would not meet with North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un unless you were at least close to a deal. Now, Senator Klobuchar says that she would, quote, always be willing to meet with leaders to discuss policies. Is that view wrong?
Yeah, I think so. I love Amy Klobuchar, but I think she's wrong on this one. I don't think presidents of the United States meet with dictators. We saw what just happened.
The president should not meet with Kim Jong-un. I completely disagree.
The leader of North Korea.
He needs to meet with him.
Gives him global credibility because the most powerful...
No, it doesn't give him any global credibility.
And weeks later, he's live
it gives him an incentive to join the global community.
We've got to demilitarize.
Your man Obama did that for 8 years, and we didn't get anywhere with Kim Jong-un.
This is very difficult work.
Yes, I agree with you, Steve. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I'm just going to spell it out. Shouse. I agree with you.
And as president,
I apologize again for not knowing your last name.
Disciplined every day. Don't go give a dictator a huge win. Sit down and do your job. And the same thing with what's happening in Central America. He's cutting the state.
No, Sarcast. Get me the link.
Guatemala, El Salvador.
Because I'm about to shoot a video on that.
Fix the problem at its source and use diplomacy to do it.
Senator Klobuchar, your response.
Love you, Matthew. Have a good one, buddy. See you tomorrow. Start a YouTube channel.
Anyone at any place. What I don't like is how this president has handled it. You've heard of the Truman Doctrine, the Monroe Doctrine. He's done the go it alone doctrine with the rest of the world. He's taken us out of the climate change.
Yeah, that's called leadership. Go it alone sometimes is called leadership. That's what he did with Kim Jong-un. He did the right thing there.
I like well, in terms of if deep dish considers as a pizza, then pizza. But if it doesn't, burgers.
Yeah, deep dish is still considered pizza.
Okay.
Right, Seth. Same here.
But you better have an agenda, and you better put our interests of our country first, not the Russians.
Thank you, Senator Klobuchar. Mayor Buttigieg, you served in Afghanistan, where just yesterday 2 U.S. service members were killed. There are currently about 14,000 U.S. service members in Afghanistan. You've said, quote, one thing everybody can agree on is that we're getting out of Afghanistan. Will you withdraw all U.S. service members by the end of your first year in office?
We will withdraw. We have to.
In your first year?
Yes. Look, around the world, we will do whatever it takes to keep America.
Buttigieg is going to get us out of the stand in the first year.
When I thought I was turning out the lights years ago, every time I see news about somebody being killed in Afghanistan, I think about what it was like to hear an explosion over there and wonder whether it was somebody that I served with, somebody that I knew, a friend, roommate, colleague. We're pretty close to the day when we will wake up to the news.
Yeah, I agree with you again, Steve. Like Rosa Parks, she stayed on that bus.
I was sent into that war.
She stayed on that bus. So if you need to get, if you know you need to get something done, then you should definitely do it. Just make sure you check with God first, because sometimes you think you might be doing something good that you think would help, but it could end up doing bad. If you have good intentions.
The use of military force have a 3-year sunset and have to be renewed, because if men and women in the military have the courage to go serve, members of Congress ought to have to summon the courage to vote on whether they ought to.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to bring in Congressman O'Rourke. Congressman O'Rourke, returning to the question of whether you would withdraw all U.S. service members from Afghanistan during your first year in office as president. How do you respond, sir?
I would, in my first term in office, agree that there is nothing about perpetuating this war already in its 18th year.
Beto says he'd do it in his first term, not the first year. I don't know why he would do that, because just say first year. Obama said he was going to close down Guantanamo in the first 6 months of his presidency. Just say it. It's fine.
It's first time like the first 4 years.
Yeah.
As president, I will end those wars, and we will not start new wars. We will not send more U.S. service members overseas to sacrifice their lives and to take the lives of others in our name. We can resolve these challenges peacefully and diplomatically.
Governor Hickenlooper,
Johan, do you like Pepsi like your dad or Coke like a normal human being? People want to know.
Okay. So it depends. It's like
you're looking at the condition of
Pepsi or Coke.
I
like Coke better. I'm joking with you guys. I like Pepsi better. I like Diet Pepsi more, so that's gonna get Pepsi points by himself. Okay, you only do.
You like Pepsi more? Diet
Pepsi more than Diet Coke. So yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna have to be in Afghanistan. Look at the progress that's happened in that country. We're gonna turn our backs and walk away.
Jesus, nerdy old white guy. Jesus. Yeah, that and the fact that I've done things that,
The U.S. will never use
I'll have to answer for eventually whatever the justifications were. But ultimately, it's Jesus that made me a pacifist.
That policy, but ultimately decided against it. Why should the U.S. tie its own hands with that policy?
Because it makes the world safer. The United States is not going to use nuclear weapons preemptively, and we need to say so to the entire world. It reduces the likelihood that someone...
Should the U.S. tie its own hands by having a policy not to use a nuclear weapon unless another country uses one first?
Yes.
We're not going to do that. That's not going to play well with the rest of America, because one of the things that drives Americans is fear. And if what she's talking about is a reactive policy, and most people that clear, you're reacting, so the person would have to nuke us before we nuke them. No American's going to go for that.
Take on jobs that do not have a military solution. We need to use our diplomatic tools, our economic tools.
Bernie and Cardi B was like jumping the shark to me, Dirk. Bernie's chat with Killer Mike was the first time I saw him, and he had a lot of credibility with me because Killer Mike was a guy in our community that spoke to social issues. But Cardi B is not on the level of Killer Mike.
I hope. Certainly in my term or anyone else.
You know, Killer Mike and Cardi B is like Malcolm X versus Beyonce. Like, they're completely different.
Strength. And look, this president's made America versus America alone. Our allies.
This person has made America first to America alone. I'm not sure about that.
Was Martin Luther King our president?
Thank you, Governor. Senator Warren, your response?
U.S. would never go for that. Exactly.
The Martin Luther King thing?
No. The reactive nuclear policy.
The entire world at risk and puts us at risk right in the middle of this. At a time when Donald Trump is pulling out of our nuclear negotiations, expanding the opportunities for nuclear proliferation around the world, has pulled us out of the deal in Iran, and Iran is now working on its nuclear weapon. The world gets closer and closer to
now that I think about it, because
we have to have an
they would fight back and then
the entire world
do that, and then the Americans would fire a nuke,
Governor Bullock, please respond.
Other countries
Part I
probably
agree
don't know.
But by the sound of it, like, we need to get back to nuclear proliferation. But when you have folks proliferation, reducing them, but at the same time, when you actually have career.
This is a terrible question. This is a terrible question. It's not going to go well in the general at all. Basically, what Trump is going to do to Warren, he's going to say, this woman wants to open up our borders, and she wants open borders, and she wants to wait till the bad guys nuke us to respond. This is not going to play well at all. I agree with her, by the way, on both of those counts, but it's not going to play with Heartland America. It's not.
Moving on now. As you know, to serve as President of the United States, all of you know this, you have to be at least 35 years old. So, Mayor Buttigieg, you just qualified. You're 37, the youngest candidate in this field. Standing next to you is the oldest candidate, Bernie Sanders, at age 77. Should voters take into consideration age when choosing a presidential candidate?
I don't care how old you are. I care about your vision. But I do think it matters that we have a new generation of leaders stepping up around the world.
Also, older means wiser, you know more, so.
I actually think it's good that the Prime Minister of New Zealand's gotten a lot of attention in
Right, Sarcast. Very good. Nukes don't kill people. People kill people, Sarcast. Ridiculous! Here's another dumb question. Should voters consider age when choosing a president? Who cares?
I mean, having the younger one.
My running mate is Jesus. Zonia 2020. Amen, Zonia. You're almost there, sis. You're not far from the kingdom, inshallah.
And, by the way, something that hasn't been talked about as much tonight, take on his enablers in Congress. You know, when David Duke ran for Congress, ran for governor, the Republican Party 20 years ago ran away from him. Today, they are supporting racism in the White House, or at best silent about it. And if you were watching this at home, and you are a Republican member of Congress, consider the fact that when the sun sets on your career and they are writing your story of all the good and bad things you did in your life, the thing you will be remembered for is whether in this moment with this president you found the courage to stand up to him or you continue to put party over country.
Thank you, Mayor. Senator Sanders, as a senior statesman of the group, please respond to Mayor Buttigieg.
It is
Not my purview.
It's a question of vision. That's what it is. Whether you're young, whether you're old, whether you're anything.
No, Buttigieg has no chance.
My vision, among other things, says that if we're going to fight for health care, we don't.
I agree, Ragin. Ridiculous, stupid, silly, inane question.
And I've asked all of the candidates who are running to say they will not accept money from those entities who, in my view, are going to war against the American people in terms of health care. That's a new vision.
Vin, does Dorian never whipped me in Madden? I'm actually ranked in the 9th percentile of all Madden players.
I have screenshots to prove
One
So-
time he did.
It was like 3
But
to 60. I
computer
have
help
screenshots to prove
seems
it.
to be on Doran's side. So
I have screenshots to prove I blew him out.
you can decide between.
And I had the Jaguars.
If it was legit or if it was computer help. That's it.
That's a pretty cool stage.
No, we're on commercial time. Bernie's vision is 2400.
But who would you vote for besides Trump?
Will you still be there in an hour? It depends. It depends on whether or not Gory jumps on and does a call with me, because Gory's been coming after me all day. But thankfully, in Middle America, we appreciate free speech, so he can say whatever he wants to the big homie. But I would love to have a call with Gory and see where he's coming from. So I might be still here in an hour. I'm not sure. Vin is a loser in denial.
Steve asked you if you brought Madden 20.
No, I haven't bought Madden 20. Should I? Yeah.
Will you use your percentile?
Charge. Can you charge that?
Will you use your percentile if you?
I don't know.
You wouldn't.
Johan, get Sailor to get me a Pepsi, please.
Alright.
Nuke San Andreas and let California be its own country.